Most automation disappointments aren't a software problem, they're a process readiness problem. Businesses who are asking, when should I automate a process, is not the real question. The real question is this process actually ready to automate? And here's the headline answer. A process is ready to automate when you can write it as a numbered checklist that a new hire could follow without asking a single question. Well, that's the test. Not whether it's repetitive, not whether a tool can do it, but can you document every step, every decision point, every exception clearly enough that a stranger could execute it without you? If the answer is no, the problem isn't a process ready to automate. It's ready to be redesigned first. Automate before that, and you're not saving time, you're encoding confusion into the process. Once a process passes the documentation test, then score it on 4 criteria before you spend anything on tooling. First, repetition. Does this happen daily or weekly, or is it a one-off? Low repetition means the setup cost rarely pays back. Second, rule clarity. Are the decisions inside this process logical and consistent, or do they rely on judgment calls and context that changes over time? Automation handles rules well. It handles nuance poorly. Third, volume. How many times does this run per month? A process that runs twice a month is not really worth automating, even if it's painful. Fourth, error cost. What is the consequence of a mistake? High-stakes errors, like a compliance filing or a client invoice, make automation more valuable because consistency matters. So score each criteria, low, medium, or high. Only processes that score high on at least 3 of the 4 are really strong candidates. Everything else needs more work first, or probably belongs with a human. Now, the risks, because this is where most SMEs come unstuck. The failure pattern 1 is automating a broken process. If your invoicing process has 3 workarounds and 2 people who override it regularly, automation doesn't fix that. It locks the dysfunction in at scale, and now it runs faster but breaks more consistently. So fix the process first. Failure pattern 2 is automating low-frequency tasks. A task that takes you 2 hours but only happens twice a year doesn't justify weeks of setup and ongoing maintenance and monitoring. The maths rarely works. Failure pattern 3 is skipping documentation. You build the automation and it works at launch, but then 6 months later the process has quietly drifted and the automation is running on outdated logic. Without documented steps to return to, you won't even notice until something goes wrong. And these 3 patterns account for the majority of automation projects that stall or deliver no measurable return. So here's a decision rule to apply to any process right now. Automate when the process is already clean. It's documented, it runs on clear rules, it happens frequently, and the errors are costly. Redesign it first when rule clarity is weak, or the steps exist but the decisions inside them are inconsistent or undocumented. Get that right before any tool touches it. Leave it to people when volume or error cost is low. If the process is rare, low stakes, or genuinely judgment heavy, a human being is the right tool. So the practical test is to take any process you're considering and write out the steps in 10 minutes. If you can't, or if you need to add footnotes or exceptions or little lines in brackets, then it's not ready. Come back when the process is clean enough to handle to a new hire on day 1. If that was of value, subscribe to the channel for one real business question answered every video. For the same clarity in writing, the website and newsletter is 5minutebusiness.com.